Thank you very much for attending our presentation regarding the use of the AI in students' handwriting for giving feedback, where we studied the comparison between the AI feedback and human or teacher feedback. The presentation will be delivered by me, Saeed Harthy from Sultanate Oman, and my colleague, Dr. Abdullah Darwish from Iraq. Our other presenters might not be able to attend, so just on behalf of the other presenters. So we'll start first with the outline of our presentation. So we are going to start with a little bit highlighting the literature about the comparative studies, shedding light on humans versus AI feedback on students' written work. Then we'll move to discuss or present the methodology that was applied in the study, and that will be given by Dr. Abdullah. Also, we'll go to discussing the findings of the teacher-generated feedback, moving after that to the same discussions of the findings related to the AI generated feedback, and then an overall discussion. And then last part will be drawing on the pedagogical implication and conclusion on the whole work. So when we are talking about the AI feedback and the human feedback, let's start that saying the work or the studies on this field started with the teacher's feedback, as at that time, like decades back, there was no AI, as we have seen now during these years. So the focus was on the teacher's feedback on the students' work and the effectiveness of that with the positive or negative sides of such feedback. So later, with the revolution in the technology, and where we have the automated writing evaluation and the software that comes with different types of software that comes on the computers, and then which have been used to also giving feedback on different types of writing of the students, and how effective was have been that on improving students' writing also. So moving from teachers' written feedback and its importance, advantages, and so on, then moving later to the automated writing evaluation. Then later studies came to focus between to compare between teachers generated feedback versus the AI generated feedback, which we know that the type of using of AI generating feedback, it's different from context to another context, from a country that have been advanced AI software where they have been using these, as studies have proved that, compared to some contexts where they have just started using these types of AI, and they're depending only on the teacher's feedback for different reasons. That could be based on the availability of the internet, the software themselves, teachers' awareness of the AI, and the students also uses of the AI based on their knowledge of the software, and so on. Of course, there are many studies have been conducted on the comparison between the AI, and maybe we can just give an example here where Wang's study 22, where his study showed that students perceived AI-generated feedback as better than human-generated feedback in improving their writing. But also, we might find some studies where, well, where might they say, well, though the AI may giving important feedback on the writing, but there are some aspects of the feedback are missing, which cannot be presented as the teachers could have giving the students this feedback. Anyway, the literature, I mean, there are many studies that have been discussing this topic between the importance of the generated feedback by AI and the teachers. But finally, most of the studies that you read about the both types of feedback will find that they all encourage to combine the both of two feedback, whether teachers and AI feedback. Now, when we come to the gap in the literature, and we speak about the gap in the using AI and they compare it to the teachers, for example, feedback, we find that though there are many studies were comparing the feedback, I mean, between the human and the AI, for example, in some areas of in the world, there are some areas where they still have lack or shortage of these studies, especially when we talk about the Middle East and some countries where specific, I mean, could be like Oman, like Iraq, where these studies have been conducted. Another thing also, as we know that most of these studies have been conducted using the quantitative approach, where they have indication that there are some differences between the perspective of students and also the teachers on the using the AI on the students' feedback. So this study that we have conducted, we used the qualitative in nature, where we would like to understand more about the perspective of teachers on using the AI or the teachers' feedback. What is the difference between these two, and then how they look at these two types of feedback. So we'll go to, we had three main research questions. The first research question was, how does the feedback provided by AI on students writing was compared to that was given by human teachers in terms of specificity, usefulness, and clarity? The second question was, what are the strengths, biases, and limitations of AI in providing feedback on student writing as compared to human educators or human teachers? The third question was, what are the implications of using the AI or for feedback on the role and the responsibilities of human teachers in the classroom? So these were the three main research questions that we try to focus and answer through the studies that we have conducted. Now I'm giving the stage to Dr. Abdullah to talk about the methodology and the findings and discussion. Dr. Abdullah.
Thank you all for, let's say, giving us the opportunity to present in this conference, and thank you for Dr. Saeed for sharing the literature and the research questions. Actually, as Dr. Saeed has mentioned, most of the studies conducted concerning the use of, let's say, artificial intelligence versus human-generated feedback or quantitatively framed in a way to measure the significance and the effects of using, let's say, teacher-generated or, let's say, automated evaluation of writing for students. So there was a lack of literature in this context. Building on the lack in methodology, in addition to lacking in, let's say, the literature, also lack in methodological perspectives, because most of the studies focus on using the quantitative perspectives, and they want quantitative designs, and they want to measure significance and value. So we shifted into using a quantitative comparative analysis design, which is considered a case-based approach, honestly. And this case-based approach gives us a flexibility to expand our understanding about the use of teachers and or artificial intelligence feedback situated in the study. Moreover, actually, it's very suitable to the nature of the current study, because it gives us an opportunity to delve into providing deeper and more comprehensive analysis, textual analysis in different ways to the kind of feedback provided by teachers themselves as well as by artificial intelligence, especially with the revolutionary, say, leaps happening in artificial intelligence. And I would like here to refer to, let's say, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and other applications that is just pushing the process of interacting with the human processes and phenomena in different ways. So I will move to the next slide to talk about, let's say, data collection and the samples, Dr. Said. So for the data collection and study sample, actually there were three stages for data collection. All these stages were conducted in the Iraqi higher education context, because this context, say, has been underexplored, and it is not very, say, different from other Middle Eastern contexts. That's why we wanted to shift the attention from, let's say, other contexts with feedback into dealing with this context. So the first stage, we contacted the primary researcher, contacted the students who meet the following inclusion criteria. We have two criteria, being 18 or above. And the second criterion is being a junior or senior student majoring in English. And actually choosing as a junior or senior student is purposeful in a way that students are expected to have received different types of feedback, because they are close to delving into the details of their major. And let's say students who agreed to participate received a memoir writing handout. In that handout, details were explained, and they were briefed about what kind of assignment they are expected to write about to make the activity more real and authentic for students. They write about something that they relate to, and they received voluntary participation consent form to explain to them the voluntary nature of participation, so that they can withdraw, or they can say they might disagree to participate, to take away any pressure that students might, let's say, feel. So, and those students, actually, student participants were studying at an English department at a public university in Iraq. 8 students were included in the study. Honestly, the sample were more than this, but let's say some students withdrew, and some students, when we collected the data, other, let's say, stages, didn't allow us to include, let's say, more samples. So in this presentation and this study, 8 students were the focal points or data analysis. In the second stage, we contacted English teachers teaching at higher education. There were 2 inclusion criteria. The first one, having a minimum master's degree in English, and the second one has been or is currently teaching English at university level. 8 teachers were included in the study too. We have more than that, but some of them just withdrew during the data collection process. Those students, just to help diversify the teachers' perspectives, so we try to expand the teachers' perspective in this context. So we had teachers from 5 different departments, from 3 different universities, 2 main public universities related to and connected with the Ministry of Higher Education in Iraq, and a 3rd university, we can call it an open college. It is connected with the Ministry of Education in Iraq. Dr. Said, can you move to the next slide, please? Dr. Said, can you hear me? Dr. Said, excuse me. Yes, thank you. Then we have the third stage after collecting student samples, and then we had let's say teachers provide feedback on students uh, writing. Then we had the third stage. We used one prompt, the same prompt, and we fed it into ChatGPT with the memo writing handout we provided to both students and teachers to keep consistency and have the same criteria, the same outlines for students, for teachers, and for ChatGPT. And we collected the ChatGPT feedback. So for the data analysis, the analysis mainly focused on three different criteria also. To make it more clear, say crystal clear, we had three criteria for the data analysis. So the first criterion was, where was the feedback provided? The location, the place. It could be interlinear, it could be marginal, it could be or final or end note, end note comments or commentary. So this was one thing. And the other the criterion was it direct or indirect? And was it focused or unfocused? The third criterion. Actually, part of this typology for the data analysis was based on Elias typology of trachines and types of feedback, where Elias talked about, let's say, direct versus indirect feedback, focused versus unfocused feedback, electronic, metalinguistic, etc. But for Elias, the typology didn't mention the place of feedback. So we also try to add that criterion ourselves. That is why we chose to specify whether it's interlinear, marginal, or final comments, because that affects let's say, the dialogical process of feedback. This is for the data analysis. Can you move to the next slide? So the findings. For the first thing, I will talk about the findings of teacher-generated feedback. So the first thing that we noted, teachers' feedback varied in terms of type concerning, let's say, the place. Sometimes it's interlinear, sometimes it's marginal, sometimes it's end note, final paper commentary. And the second thing, it fluctuated between being direct and indirect, focused and unfocused. The third point is that most of the feedback only highlights possible weaknesses and never relate to the positive areas in the student's writing. We have examples like example from sample number 1 by teacher number 1, writing a memoir, not research. So he's criticizing the student. He also used indirect corrective feedback, except for its sentence in which you suddenly used the present tense. We are 7 girls. This is not research. And then we have your writing shows some misuses of punctuation. Can we move to the next slide, Dr. Said? And also we have other examples, like for example, sample 1, teacher 1, he gives say, piece of feedback, think in English, not in another language with English words. So it was more than the language itself. It was more of, let's say, culturally, say, inclusive thing. And then we have another teacher also giving feedback on the first sample. I recommend checking the grammar, punctuation, etc. So we have the third teacher, the text does not have enough attempts in expressing ideas in a creative style. I think you should have a course in basic writing principles, which is a very, very tough kind of feedback, honestly. And that could be demotivating to students. Can we move to the next slide, Dr. Said? For the artificial intelligence generated feedback represented by ChatGPT, there are 5 things to be highlighted here, actually, the findings. First, all 8 samples received initial positive feedback supporting students' texts and samples. And for example, say your story is heartfelt and powerful, especially the moments when you describe the loss of your brothers. This is example 1. The second finding is that it was highly consistent and resonates with the guidelines of the writing handout. That is, it starts with positive feedback only uses final commentaries or more macro issues. So that was consistent across the artificial intelligence feedback generated by ChatGPT. The third point is that it mainly focuses on macro issues, mainly like creativity, let's say engagement, genre-related aspects and areas. And the fourth finding is that it was mainly indirect and unfocused in nature as it applies to different areas. Many times it applies the questions to have students reframe, let's say, and try how do you feel when you passed your exam? This is step one. And the fifth finding, it never uses interlinear or marginal comments. We only have final commentary at the end of the paper. And the sixth thing, it uses high language that is less possibly accessible to low-level students, honestly. Can we move to the next slide, Dr. Said? So we have other examples, for example, from AI feedback. We have considered adding a few more vivid sensory details, so it covers details, engagement. In another one, we have more direct. His phone rang when one of the relatives was calling him, should be simplified to his phone rang. A relative was calling him, so and something, but for most of the time it was indirect and unfocused. There are some grammatical issues without specifying what kind of issues. Can you move to the next slide, Dr. Said? Okay, so for the discussion of findings, dealing with the findings, we have three areas to highlight here. The findings reveal that feedback specificity and the clarity vary significantly between, say, AI-generated responses and those from human teachers, honestly. The human teachers demonstrated considerable ability in the type and the focus of their feedback. And association reflects the human capacity to adjust feedback strategies based on perceived students' needs and educational context, which is very, very important. In contrast, the artificial intelligence generated feedback represented by ChatGPT maintain a consistent and structured approach. And then we have the second thing, this of artificial intelligence generated feedback lie in its efficiency, consistency, and non-judgmental nature. ChatGPT feedback frequently started with a positive acknowledgement of the student's strength, an approach shown to boost students' confidence and motivation. However, that feedback by AI also has notable limitations when a primary weakness is its inability to fully grasp the nuances of a student's developmental stages, background, writing intentions, etc. This can also result in generic comments that lack cultural and contextual awareness, in contrast to human feedback, which exists greater adaptability and depth in addressing these nuances. And now finally, the integration of artificial intelligence in grading and feedback systems poses significant implications for the roles and responsibilities of human teachers, which is very, very, let's say, essential thing in teaching. While artificial intelligence can alleviate some of the workload associated with teachers, with the grading and allowing teachers to focus on more meaningful and instructional capacities and activities and designs. It also necessitates a re-evaluation of teaching capacities. The human teachers may increasingly need to adopt the role of, let's say, mediators, helping students to interpret artificial intelligence feedback and encouraging them to engage more meaningfully with automated assessments and artificially generated kinds of feedback. Can we move to the next slide, Dr. Said?
I think the last
Yeah, the
slide
last
of
is
Dr.
yours.
Abdullah will be that. Yeah, the pedagogical implications. So thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. So based on the finding of the study that we have conducted regarding the comparison between the AI and teachers or human teachers feedback on students writing, we have like this five pedagogical implications, starting from enhanced writing instructions, a hybrid feedback model combining the AI efficiency with human teachers' pedagogy insight could transform writing instructions. As we said, I mean, if the students are using the AI at the same time they are using the teachers, and then they combine the two, for example, and then that could be lead to better writing for the students. I mean, we have seen that differences between the advantages of the humans and the AI feedback. Differentiated support. So AI feedback systems can be tailored to address various writing proficiency levels, but the teachers must provide additional scaffolding for teachers who need more explicit guidance. And we know that the feedback is at the end it's a machine, though it's advanced, but the interaction with between the teacher and the students can lead to more support from the teachers to students, whether that is emotional or proficient, or what type of feedback can be given from the teacher to the students. Teacher training and development. There is a pressing need for professional development program that train teachers. And even if we look at the literature, we find that there are many studies that showed the teachers need to increase their awareness of the use of or implication of AI in the feedback for the students. And also for the students themselves. So teachers also seems to be need more training on how to use this type of AI for the feedback when giving to students to help them. So it will be like a combination between teachers' experience as giving a feedback in addition to what they get from the AI to help them to provide efficient feedback to their students. Equality and inclusivity. So educators should be mindful of the equity implications of AI use, since AI system can unintentionally reinforce existing bias or fail to accommodate diverse linguistics and cultural perspective. Human oversight is critical to ensure fairness and inclusivity in writing assessment. I think this is also could be one of the important pedagogical implications. Reflective writing practices. So there is like encouraging students to reflect on and respond to both AI, human feedback, to which can also using them together to promote their writing, especially when the students have more time before submitting a work, for example. So using the teacher's feedback plus using the AI feedback and reflection on this, how to improve that the writing they are doing, for example, that could also lead to more improvement in their writing. So this is, I suppose, the end of our presentation regarding the study that we conducted in the comparison between the AI feedback compared to human feedback on students' writing. If you have any questions or would like to ask, I think we're ready for that, inshallah.